Back on the morning drive on this Thursday morning, and very happy to have with us this morning the CEO of Herschend Family Entertainment, Mr. Joel Manby. Joel, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning. How are you today?
Doing great, and thanks so much for spending some time with us. And also, congratulations on your book. It's titled Love Works, 7 Timeless Principles for Effective Leaders. And Joel, the book has been out, and it's been a huge hit.
Yes, it's doing very well, Chris. Thanks. It reached #1 on Amazon for a little bit. In the leadership category, it's still in the top 10, so we're very pleased by that.
You cover a lot of different subjects in the book, but really it talks about, really in my mind, a different way to be an effective leader and really focusing on love and positivity. And Joel, those aren't two words that you commonly think of when you look at how businesses succeed, but how have those two things been so key and so effective for you?
Well, Chris, I have a 30-year business career, including 20 years in the auto industry, and I was CEO of Saab North America. I have a Harvard MBA, helped start Saturn Corporation, and yet in all that experience, no one taught me what is the most effective leadership principle, and that's love. And that's what I learned at Herschend Entertainment. The problem is people think about love as an emotion, and that's not what we're talking about here. It's a verb, it's a behavior, and it's accountable. But you can be loving and accountable. You can be caring and profitable, and that's what the book talks about.
And, of course, Herschend Family Entertainment is the parent company to Wild Adventures, the one of the most popular tourist attractions in the Southeast, which we're very happy to have right here in Lowndes County. And I know whenever you started, whenever you guys attained Wild Adventures, and one of your first trips down here, you talked about the change in culture and how important that was at Wild Adventure. And a lot of those changes were because of some of the things you talked about in your book.
Absolutely. Love is a very active verb, and the premise, Chris, is the level of enthusiasm of the guest experience can never rise any higher than the enthusiasm of your own employees. It just makes common sense, but most companies don't get that. And we spend a lot of time, if we love on our employees and make them engaged and motivated and loyal, then they'll treat the guests better, and there'll be a better guest experience when folks come out to Wild Adventures or any of our parks. So that is the premise behind the entire book.
Now, that all sounds like common sense, but now, Joel, how tough is that to instill into the workplace?
Well, it does sound like common sense, and frankly, a lot of the book, it's a very practical book. It's not theory. There's 4 or 5 principles for every one of those 7 words, but it's very hard to execute because people tend to be selfish. They tend to only focus on the bottom line, and for us, we focus on how we treat people, and that leads to a better bottom line, and it's actually very hard to execute, and most companies don't do it, but I hope to change that a little bit with this book.
Well, and I think you have for a lot of people. And again, if folks want to get a copy of the book, it's available locally. As Joel mentioned, it's available on Amazon.com. Again, entitled Love Works, 7 Timeless Principles for Effective Leaders. And you talk about in the book about approaching things in this way is counterintuitive to our normal human nature. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, unfortunately, people think of love as soft, and they think of it as unaccountable. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. And even with our own kids, we hold them very accountable. And one of the keys of leading with love is the word truthfulness, which is one of the words in the book. You have to hold people accountable. You have to be truthful with them. But it's all about how you go about doing that, how you treat them in that situation. Another word is unselfishness. It's not easy to be unselfish. But at Wild Adventures and at Herschend Entertainment, we have a foundation that our employees give money into it, then the company matches that, and we give away all that money to help our employees in need. And we've helped about 10% of our workforce, including many at Wild Adventures, get through a financial crisis. And that unselfishness creates very loyal and dedicated employees. So, yes, it's not easy, but there is a way to do it, and the book goes into very specific ways to love people as a verb to make the business more successful.
And you talk about that foundation, the Share It Forward Foundation in your book, and ironically, one of the first times where it really hit home with you was in a visit to Wild Adventures where you met an employee who thanked you for having that foundation because it very directly affected their life, and that's a great story to read.
Yeah, actually, two of the stories in the book, Albert, who I met at Silver Dollar City, but he got a scholarship, and he's going to Valdosta State now and works at Wild Adventures. And then Monica, who is in the landscaping department. There's an incredible story in the book that we don't have time to go into, but just trust me, listeners, it's a very heartwarming story of how Monica took on her sister's child and has adopted her, and it's just an amazing story, and Share It Forward helped her along the way. And of course, both those employees are very engaged and loyal, and they're great with the customers.
And as you talk about, once you show that kind of attitude towards your employees, then they're going to buy into what you're doing, and they're going to be so much more responsible and really so much more effective employees. And I guess that's the basis behind all of this.
That is the basis behind the book. It's not easy, but boy, we want the guests to feel like they're a member of the family when they come to Wild Adventures or any of our parks. And we know we're not all the way there. We know we're going to get better every single day, and we're a lot better than we first got here. And we just want to create a very special family environment. And the only way you're going to create that is with this kind of loving approach. But again, it's not soft, it's not easy, it's very accountable. And overall, Chris, our company has outperformed all the other regional theme park companies financially over the last 10 years. We've grown 9 out of 10 years. We have double-digit returns. We have done very well, but at the same time, we've led with love. And so I reject that false dichotomy between profit and caring. You can do both. And like Chick-fil-A in the fast food industry does it very well also. We're not the only ones, but this is a very successful way to lead. And I think it's a very natural way to lead for anyone who cares about other people.
And that's that kind of bottom line. It's what a lot of people look for, and you're showing that it can work. Again, we're speaking with Joel Manby, the author of Love Works, 7 Timeless Principles for Effective Leaders. He's also the CEO of Hershin Family Entertainment, which is the home company, the parent company for Wild Adventures. And if the name sounds familiar to you, you may have seen him on the television show Undercover Boss. And Joel, quite frankly, and ironically, it was the first episode of Undercover Boss that I saw. I don't know if it was the first one that aired, but it really grabbed my attention. That show's become very popular. What did you learn from being a part of that show?
Well, I learned that our employees were incredible. We have a strong culture, but in a bigger picture, Chris, I was amazed by the feedback we got from around the country. 20 million people saw that one episode, and only American Idol beat it that week.
Wow.
And we were inundated with letters of frustrated employees from around the country, and it showed me there was a leadership crisis. They wanted something more like what they saw in our company, and I was just blown away by it. And it's one of the reasons I wrote the book, is really to give others permission to talk about leading this way. It is the right way. I think it's the best way, and it works. But people almost need permission to talk about these words of love in the workplace, and that's what I've done.
When readers see your book, they're going to read a lot about B goals, and this part fascinated me. And as briefly as you can, because I know it's a really in-depth subject, can you tell our listeners what you mean when you talk about B goals?
Absolutely. Only 10% of companies actually integrate their values into the workplace. Everybody talks about it. It's very hard to actually do it. And so everyone has do goals like hit profit, hit margin, hit your numbers. But we also measure B goals. What kind of person do we want you to be? In other words, how are you going to go about reaching your goals? And so we actually measure people on both hitting their numbers, but also these 7 words, because they define how we want them to be. And if they do well in both, they get the best raise. If they do poorly at both, they probably won't be around very long. And so you have to both hit your numbers and do it the right way to do well in our company.
It takes some humility for someone in a management position, especially with a new company, and you talk about this in your book as well, to say, listen, I don't have all of the answers, and listen to those who have been there longer. In what ways does that help?
Well, I came from the auto industry, Chris, with 20 years, as I said earlier. I did not know the theme park business, so I came in as CEO. I had to listen to others. I had to admit I didn't know it all. And what I found is a new way to lead. I was very autocratic in the car business. Now I'm much more Socratic, where I ask questions, and I have found that I have the best team I've ever had because of that leadership style. And not that you can't lead autocratically. I have just found that if you do, you will not surround yourself with the best people. And that's the biggest thing I learned.
Again, it's a great book, Love Works by Joel Manby, featured on the hit TV series Undercover Boss. It's a lot of great information packed in a very easy read. And if you are a manager or a leader in your company, or if you one day want to be an effective leader, I think it's a must read, and it's available anywhere. So, Joel, again, with Hurston Family Entertainment, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on all of the success with the book and the changes at Wild Adventure, something that we maybe take for granted sometimes because it's right in our backyard. We're so glad to have it here, and we've seen those changes work, and we look forward to what happens in the future.
Well, we appreciate the community's support. We need it, and we appreciate them all coming out to see the park. And also, all proceeds from the book support that Share It Forward Foundation we discussed. So that's a good cause as well.
And when you read the book, you'll find out some of the amazing things that it does. So get down there. Boston, Sugar Land, lots of great things coming to Wild Adventures this summer. And Joel, again, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you having me.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
Joel Manby, Love Works. You can find the book available again on Amazon, local bookstores as well. Great information, and we're glad of his time today. We'll be right back with more of the Morning Drive right after this on News Talk 105.9. This is WVGA.